Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I am Isani Kayetano.
And good morning, Isani. How are you?
And I'm good.
Yeah?
Yes.
It feels kind of like Tuesday, but it also feels like Wednesday.
It's Hump Wednesday.
It is Hump Wednesday. We are flying
where the day takes us.
quickly through the week. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, and we have quite a few topics to discuss this morning, Isani. Starting things off with, what do you want to start off with? We have two topics that particularly was aired in the newscast last night. I know both of them are stirring quite a conversation online. Where do you want to begin?
Well, I think our headline item yesterday is where we ought to begin. It's quite the buzz, actually.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll say this much: I foresaw this. As a matter of fact, I shared it from the moment I got wind of what was about to take place yesterday. But in respect of the allegations being brought against this well-known attorney, you know, there are a lot of questions to be asked, and perhaps in due time we'll get some answers to those questions. But I think from my end, one of the concerns or point of discussion would be perhaps an abuse of power or office or what have you. Is something that one can look at. When you're in a prominent space where people look up to you, and you have a certain influence per se, and you use that to, you know, I'll describe it as perhaps pushing a selfish agenda, if I could use that description loosely. You are to be held equally accountable as if though it were someone who did not share that spotlight that you've enjoyed or you know, stand under. And I think I look from it from that point of view, because a lot of times, Sab, when allegations are made against the ordinary man, perhaps some of us in the media, we proceed to publish the information with no regard for due process, if the individual hasn't been charged with any crime or what have you, or no regard for either of the parties involved, perhaps in the case of the alleged victim or in the case of the alleged culprit. How they feel and how society treats with them thereafter is of little consequence to us when we make certain decisions. But at the same time, right, we need to be able to tread carefully when it comes to persons who have not been charged of a crime. So there's a certain, perhaps, dignity, if I could use that word, that needs to be maintained until and unless charges are brought forward. And so if you've noticed, those of us in the media have
refrained from identifying that person. Yeah.
Right?
And
but it doesn't take away from the nature of the allegations being brought. These are serious claims being brought against this individual. And, you know, as I mentioned, it's not someone who's relatively unknown. I mean, the mere mention of the name, people would be able to say, oh, wow, you know, because they can make that immediate connection.
Yeah, I just for the benefit of those that have not been able to capture an update on what exactly we are speaking about, last night in our newscast, our headline story was shared about a well-known public figure. He is an attorney and I believe also an avid UDP supporter. He is allegedly accused of raping 2 females over the weekend, or I should say in the course of Thursday night, Friday morning. The 2 females made a report to the Belize Police Department, one in Belize City and one in San Ignacio. So up until this point, we cannot reveal who that person is until that person is officially charged. Until now, it's just an accusation.
Yeah, there is a likelihood that charges will be preferred on the individual at some point. According to the Commissioner of Police, who has been seized of the matter, and he has been dealing with the whole investigation from the law enforcement perspective. The files have been turned over to the DPP, and they will await further instructions as to where they go with that. But the 2 alleged victims have been medically examined. The results of it forms part of that folder or file that will be, or if it hasn't already been submitted to the DPP. So, I mean, here's the thing, right? We've covered in our line of work previous instances where persons who you would describe as high profile or perhaps well placed in society have been accused of these kinds of sexual misconduct. And I was having a conversation yesterday where I was saying, perhaps if this was in any other jurisdiction, while we understand that one is innocent until proven guilty, on the mere face of it, one would have to step down from any aspect of public life and retreat until the matter is dealt with in the courts, right? So that, for instance, if this had happened in the United States, for instance, a scandal such as this, that individual would be forced out of his practice, or so on and so forth. But in Belize, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Because there's an attorney that's presently before the court on a charge of abetment to commit murder, and he's still, under the presumption of innocence, still allowed to carry on with his livelihood.
His private practice,
That's his bread and butter, so a man has to eat. And in this case, he continues to represent people who are seeking counsel. So that's I think, that's how I look at it from that point of view.
And that's an interesting point that you mentioned there. My question to you would be, why do you think that that is the case here in Belize compared to other parts of the world?
Well, I think it's simply what I said earlier. It's under the presumption that one is innocent until proven guilty, right? Because a charge against an individual does not necessarily mean that that individual is guilty of that charge there and then. There is due process for a reason, right? You have to go through the entire trial to determine your guilt based on what you're being accused of.
Yeah.
And until and unless, then you presume to be innocent. That's just the way our structures, our system is set up.
Yeah. I think aside from that, though.
But I mean, going back though, I'm sorry. I'm saying aside from the judicial process, I'm saying the sheer embarrassment and everything that comes along with it would be enough weight to bring to bear on someone to have to step down from whatever office they hold.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to close this particular topic on. Although we know that a person is innocent until proven guilty, and in these cases that you mentioned, these individuals can still continue their private practice, we do know that that reputation is going to be hard to run away from.
And here's the thing, Sab, right? I would want to think, and I'm not a lawyer, but I would want to think that anyone who is seeking the counsel of an attorney has to have, first of all, a confidence in that individual, not only to be able to represent them in a court of law, but to be able to share certain information that would be deemed privileged, right? And when you have a scandal such as this, how does someone who is facing an issue where either that individual is bringing a claim or a claim has been brought against that individual, and they are in need of representation before the courts. How do you now turn to an individual whose reputation is stained based on an allegation such as this? You understand?
Yeah.
So it would be quite difficult. And again, it's just my opinion, the way how I look at it.
Yeah.
Right? It would be difficult for you to say, well, notwithstanding the allegation that has been brought against Sabrina, I will still seek her counsel in a matter where I'm
It's bad for
before the
business.
court.
Yeah. Well, moving on into another hot topic currently taking place on social media and even in our newscast. We saw a well-known public figure as well in the newscast celebrate his ability to be able to put forward a petition against another colleague. Let's talk about that.
Well, you can't talk about my good friend Anthony Boots Martinez without the personality that you're seeing there.
Yes.
Right?
OWT. That's what he's hoping will take place
and
very
OVA,
soon.
right? This campaign, if I could describe it as such, began in July 2023, July 12, 2023, when he summoned the media, the reporters, to his office on Central American Boulevard and the George Price. And he informed us that he would set off to garner as many signatures as he possibly can in an effort to recall the sitting area representative for Port Loyola. This would be Gilroy Usher Sr.
Of course, Isani, you can't not continue this conversation because you were there at this very moment when this began, this campaign. He even had a campaign song, I believe.
And in a sense, I've enjoyed every moment of it, the hilarity, and perhaps a serious business from his end, but I'm saying his personality lends to a certain kind of humor. You have to laugh.
And I think that's why people love him as well. But yes, proceed.
No, I'm saying so from that point in time, when the campaign was initially launched, there are these buzzwords that he tends to coin, or the fancy Creole spellings and what have you, right? So in the onset, it was OWT, we want him out, right? And that word and its spelling took a life of its own. And then there was the incident where the former area rep for Port Loyola got in an altercation with someone, and he ran off and saying, it's over now. And that became a hit song. That became his theme song for the other part of his campaign. But fun and jokes aside, right? These signatures were presented to the Governor General yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, the threshold was 30% of the registered voters in that constituency. And so they were able to satisfy that requirement. Now the question is, what happens going forward? You had asked me that prior to having this conversation on here.
I want to ask something before we touch on what you were about to mention. So he was able to acquire all the signatures that he needed in a matter of approximately 6 months. What do you believe that says for the state of that constituency?
Well, here's the thing though, right? From the beginning, when he had indicated that this would have been what he is venturing out to do, I thought that being able to get those requisite signatures would have been fairly easy.
Okay.
Port Loyola is a sizable constituency, but at the same time, you know, getting the minimum amount to be able to proceed with this sort of an action, I don't think would have taken that long.
Oh, okay.
So along the way, I've met Mr. Martinez. We've spoken, and so my question was, well, what's taking you so long? From July to recently in December, you know, because he had met me and he said, Isani, when we go with the signatures, we'll inform you, and so on and so forth. But anyway, I think that space perhaps would have been a bit too long, but that's just my opinion. You know, I don't know what the challenges would have been, and so on and so forth. Beyond that though, so what happens now? So the signatures have been presented to the GG, And there's a vetting process where they have to go over all of those signatures to ensure that these are the names and the information handwritten by persons who are registered to vote in Port Loyola. And once that has been vetted and approved, then there's all likelihood, if not intent, that it triggers a recall mechanism by way of a by-election.
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean for the person who is presently the area representative for Port Loyola?
Gilroy Usher Sr.
He has had his own challenges, right? He has had his own challenges, continues to face his own issues on an internal matter with his family that is playing out in the social media realm.
Yeah.
But you would recall that last year, if not perhaps the year before, the issue with the house handing over and the whole fiasco that created between himself as the area representative and the Ministry,
ready and
the
properly
Ministry
done.
of Infrastructure Development and Housing, and how bad that looked on him. I mean, giving someone a house, that individual being in need of a shelter, a place to call home, is a noble thing. But if it's going to create a scandal internally in your party and what have you, then that's not a good look.
Yeah.
Right? And then, like I said, this internal issue that he's having with his son, again, we haven't covered it because it's a family feud.
But it's still very public on
in the
social
open.
media, yes.
So persons are very much aware of that. Now, so another question is, does he need to be facing a recall?
Yeah.
Or alternately, how effective has he been as an area representative in the constituency if his office is mired by one thing to the next to the other? So,
yeah. So basically, I believe he has a lot to be concerned about at this time. As you rightly put, he has had quite a dark cloud also over his head from the issues and the scandal that took place in his portfolio as it relates to the housing for persons in need. Of course, his family issues that is quite on a display publicly. And then not honorable, but Boots Martinez using an opportune time really to strike while the iron's hot.
Well, it also begs the question if Mr. Martinez is priming himself for a comeback of some sort.
Yeah.
You would recall that he's been the area rep for Port Loyola for a couple terms prior to the November 2020 general elections. And while he had initially announced his resignation his retirement, from electoral politics, he ended up running in Pickstock where he was soundly defeated by Anthony Mahler, right? And so maybe he has his eyes once again on his home constituency. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I know for certain. I think this year has been quite an interesting one. We've seen a lot of things play out in just a matter of the first 2 weeks of 2024. I know this year will also be big because we have our municipal elections coming up right here in March.
Yep.
So that aside, and then we have the possibility of a by-election taking place. We'll be busy as it relates to politics.
We'll see how it all shapes out.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think the last thing that I wanted to touch on is not exactly having to do with Belize, but still we do have Belizeans out in the diaspora. As you would know, we've been talking about weather systems and just really cold taking place in North America. As far as I know, I've been able to follow up on some of the situations and the temperatures taking place in North America. I know in the Midwest, it's well below zero. I believe my sister told me on Monday, they of course celebrated Martin Luther King Day, and she told me that it would have been under -20, I believe.
Okay, so I have a best friend who returned to Chicago last Monday, right?
So same day, yeah.
And so he, not this, the previous Monday, right?
Okay.
So over the weekend, nonetheless, he sent me a screenshot of the weather that they were, the temperature, sorry, that they were facing. So it was at -8 but with the wind chill factor, feels like minus 24.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it reminds me of my days in Chicago, and I don't miss it. I'll be honest with you.
You know what I'm
It's
thinking is,
brutal.
Sani, imagine, you know, still having to go to work in temperatures
Yeah.
like
Life
that.
goes on.
Yeah, it's
you know?
crazy.
What is interesting is that because of the harsh weather, thousands of flights have been grounded from various airports across.
Delayed, canceled. I mean, what I think is also important to mention is Houston, which is actually snowing, and that's not really a state that is known to snow.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a really climate change taking its shape right here. I do know, as I mentioned, in the Midwest, in Chicago, they've had to light the train tracks on fire in order to keep it from
the ice
creating ice on it. That's crazy. Imagine you're on a train track and there's fire ahead of you. I mean, it really, I think for me, it really makes me appreciate my situation here. We complain about a lot of things, but
blizzards are miserable, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I did Chicago for the better part of 5 years, and I got used to the weather. One of the things, Sabrina, and I'll say this quickly, right? People's moods are affected by weather. I think the two things go together. I'll share my example based on experiences living abroad. In spring and summer, everybody's chipper and everybody feels upbeat and what have you. Fall and winter, everybody's miserable. So it's like you're walking and you meet someone, spring, summer. They'll be the first to tell you good morning, and everybody is so polite. By the time fall comes around, winter, they
making a
just
decline.
walk past you like you don't exist.
oh my gosh. Well, no one really wants to stay out there on the sidewalk
It's miserable, man.
having a conversation in almost 0 degrees. But that's quite interesting. I know that we are following that development over there in the United States. I think it's important for us to look out for what systems are taking place around us as well. Because as you know, if something drastic takes place out there, we're likely to see some effects of that too. Alrighty, well, we're going to be moving now into our eye opener this morning, Isani. And our eye opener is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. People that want to control others are, at the core, consumed with their own fears and projecting those fears onto others. We all know what it's like to want to be in control. In some ways, exerting control is an important survival skill. Controlling behavior in the negative sense comes from a tendency to reach beyond our own boundaries and into the lives of others. Many people do this with the rationalization that they are helping. If you have control issues, you will see that in one or more areas of your life, you feel the need to interfere with what is happening, rather than just allowing events to unfold. Almost everyone has at least one situation or relationship in which they try to exert control. This often happens because someone's behavior makes us uncomfortable. We may feel it makes us look bad, or it embarrasses us. Controlling behavior generally goes hand in hand with an unwillingness to be direct about what you want, as well as an inability to let go and let people live their own lives. If you are the one that is controlling, it's probably because you feel as if you are out of control, and it scares you. It is hard sometimes to allow others to be who they are, especially if we feel we know what's best for them, and we see them making choices we wouldn't make. However, if we are to be respectful and truly loving, we have to let people go, trusting that they will find their own way in their own time, and understanding that it is their life to live. Just reminding yourself that the only life you have to live is your own is the first step to letting go.
First things first. I'm not a control freak. I don't pride myself as such. I don't have any ambitions or desire to want to control people or their behavior or whatever. But I'm firm in my position, right? So once I take a stand on something, then that's where I'm at with that. I say that to say this, right? You listen to what the eye opener is imparting, and the fact that you have people out there who are very comfortable trying to dictate and determine your pace And the fact that perhaps they're repressing certain fears that they have as to why they are so controlling and want to be, in charge and manipulate the situation for whatever it is.
So they project.
Yeah. And when I look at myself in comparison, I try not to be that person, but I'll tell you this. Perhaps there are moments or instances where it happens unbeknownst to me. Maybe I'm so invested in a thing where perhaps I am being controlling without really knowing that that's what I'm doing. But that's human, right? Sometimes we're so invested, or sometimes we only see things from one point of view that we fail to see that we're manifesting the very same things that we say we wouldn't do or what have you.
Yeah.
But I think the eye-opener is on point.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned, I love that you started by saying, I'm not controlling, and then mentioned, you know what? I think we all have points in our lives where we try to control things, and it's human to be like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's ensuring that you keep your eyes open, and you as often as possible introspect and ask yourself if there is something that you're trying to control. I think that helps you to not project your fears and try to control other people's situation. So I also really like this eye opener. I think it's helpful to a lot of us. Alrighty, moving into our weather update this morning. Of course, our weather is taken from the National Meteorological Service. And while we don't have snow, Isani, we are hoping for some better weather, some
Decent
good weather, of
yeah.
course. So we'll be getting that update. But I have been enjoying our temperatures so far, I will say. I think we've been having some relatively good weather. So we have with us forecaster Francisco Wellington on the line. Good morning. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're not clear.
All right, it's having... Alrighty. We are having some technical difficulties, but I'm hoping that we'll either be able to get our weather. We'll be providing that now.
Good morning. Relatively moist conditions prevail and will support cloudy spells today and tonight. Some showers will develop around the country today, then mainly along the coast tonight. In the outlook, a few showers will develop mainly along the coast Thursday morning, decreasing later in the afternoon. Winds today along the coast and over the open seas will blow from the east and northeast at 5 to 15 knots, and seas will be light chop. Low tides will occur at 8:39 this morning and 9:48 tonight. High tides follow at 2:45 this afternoon and 3:45 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 76 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 84 along the coast, and 87 inland. The moon will rise at 11:14 this morning, and the sun will set at 5:39 this evening. In the sargassum forecast, no significant amounts of sargassum expected for the next week or so, followed by a gradual increase thereafter. That's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
Alrighty, that's your weather update. It seems like relatively moist conditions will prevail. Moving now into our morning show lineup. This morning, we have 3 great conversations for you. Starting things off, we will be joined by the We'll be talking about National Blood Donor Month. We'll be joined by the Deputy Director of the Hospital Services and Allied Health, representatives from the blood bank, and also a survivor of hemorrhage dengue to tell us how important it is to donate blood and how it can save lives.
Our second conversation will be with our friends from Campbellsville University as they discuss with us studying abroad as well as the scholarship opportunities that are available.
And lastly, the conversation will be about tips and tricks to survive alone during an emergency. So we'll be joined by a representative who will be talking to us about first aid training. Alrighty, we got to take our first break, and when we come back, it's all about National Blood Donor Month. Stay with us.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, pay $28.13 more and get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
Are you dreaming of the ultimate home makeover? Introducing Design Depot's $25,000 Home Makeover 2024. It could be your home getting a complete transformation. Increase your chances of winning with every purchase made from now until January 31st, 2024. All while enjoying awesome deals happening store-wide. A complete transformation awaits you. Reimagined and redesigned using products from our top-of-the-line brands including Kohler, GE, Oran Windows and Doors, Sherwin-Williams Paint, and tiles from around the world. Don't just dream it, win it. Visit Design Depot today and enter to win the $25,000 Home Makeover 2024. Design Depot, all in one place.
After a rough week of school, Jake and his friends decide to treat themselves to frozen coffee. And since they don't have cash on them, they decide to use eCash. With eCash's geolocation feature, Jake can easily find the nearest coffee spot. With eCash's built-in option to split bills, Jake can pay the bill and his friends can reimburse their portion of the bill. Jake scans the merchant's code and confirms payment. Jake then views his transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the split the bill button where he selects the evenly option to evenly split the bill. The application splits the bill automatically. His friends receive and accept the request. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash makes Jake enjoy his digital lifestyle.
If we all don't come together and work together to change the bigger climate picture, these efforts will be in vain.
It's right there.
I believe that we have something special that is also a secret right now, which is unexplored, undiscovered.
I've been with the sugar fishermen all morning, catching lobster and conch. And then we realized it's time for lunch. And man, it's gonna be good. I think they deserve it.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure.
Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
And welcome back. Our first conversation this morning is with the Director of Hospital Services and Allied Health, Dr. Jorge Polanco. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And to his left is Adrian Martinez. He is the Blood Bank Supervisor at the Central Medical Lab. And of course, we have with us via Zoom a survivor of dengue hemorrhagic fever, Charlene Young. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Let's begin by talking about National Blood Donor Month and why this is important for persons who are eligible to be able to give blood.
Yeah. In Belize, perhaps you have noticed that a lot of emphasis has been given to World Blood Donors Day on June 14th. With the Blood Donors Month, not much has been done. However, we take the opportunity to promote the importance of blood donor is that for sure everybody has had some relative or some personal encounter whereby there would have been a need for blood to save the life of that person or to be a critical part of the management. It's well known here in Belize we have a significant demand for blood, especially, well, for multiple reasons, but violence in general, for example, external injuries, that's a constant events that demand blood. And of course, we have other reasons, for example, medical reasons, obstetric reasons that need, whereby the patient requires blood. So what we do, the situation in Belize is that we promote we promote for voluntary donors. What that means is that we want the proportion of persons who give blood who are volunteers to increase. Right now, over the last 15 years, it has been between 10% and 13%. The latest figure is 11%. What that means is that the persons who give blood, only 11% of them come on a volunteer basis. The rest are what we call replacement donors. So now what's the difference? Replacement donors would be those, for example, there is a need for a blood unit at the hospital. The staff would come and ask the relatives, you need to go and give blood because your relative will get surgery. So they would go to the blood bank and give blood. Okay, you call that replacement because they would be replacing the units that would be used, thank you, with their patient. Voluntary donors, they come on a regular manner to the blood bank. They come every 3 months, every 4 months to give blood. Now, what's the difference? Being a volunteer, that in itself reflects some degree of responsibility by that person in regards to his lifestyle. They know they need to keep healthy. They know they need to be free from infections, sexual infections, for example, because they are blood donors and they don't want to get infected. On the other side, being a replacement donor, those come at the moment when they are requested, either a relative or a friend. So the risk of these persons not being truthful in regards to their lifestyle exists. Okay, so that little risk could be of much significance, and that is the reason why there's a questionnaire that is given to every blood donor, no matter if he goes every 3 months or every 4 months. Every time he goes, he or she needs to fill that form. That form is it's a 2-page questionnaire, but it's basically to be able to detect any risk, and if there is any suspicion, then that blood is not really taken. So coming back to your question, it is really extremely important to promote that awareness of giving blood. And I will take this opportunity to invite organizations to sensitize their staff, to form groups to promote voluntary blood donations. I must say the World Health target for the World Health Organization, even ourselves, is to someday have 100% voluntary donations. It will take us years, but it's not impossible, because 3 years ago in 2020, a report from PAHO made reference that in the Americas, 40% of the countries were already having over 90% of their blood supplies from volunteers. Now, that's a significant increase from from before. And of course, in our situation, we have lived over the last, I would say, 15 years, just within that range, despite the promotion that is done at local level. But I also want to reiterate that we do recognize that there's a lot more work to be done, I would say, within organizations, private and even government organizations. We need to be more aggressive in going to them and promoting that awareness, saying, you need to be a blood donor. You are healthy, you need to provide that blood so as to save a life.
I want to take an opportunity before going to you, Mr. Martinez, to get Charlene in on the conversation. Perhaps to share with us what her experience has been like, you know, with dengue hemorrhagic fever, and the fact that she was also perhaps at some point in need of blood. Let's get your story, Charlene.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
About October, I was diagnosed with hemorrhagic dengue fever. And starting out with all the symptoms, it had extreme headache, extreme fever, pains everywhere. And I was diagnosed in Belize. I had to be flown from Keycacher to Belize City to get medical treatment. When I arrived in Belize City, because I made a mistake to take ibuprofen, not knowing I had dengue, I had to be flushed out and all of that. And when they start doing my blood works, they found out that I would need maybe 5 units of blood. That was kind of okay, and I knew that I have family members that are my blood type, that I could get this blood. So at one point, having this intense pain, cannot see because you have intense headaches and stuff like that, it was nerve-wracking, because I have a son, and he's only 4 years old, so this was mind-blowing. First time in a hospital. So at this point, I only had to rely on my dad, and I'm like, Dad, could you please reach out to my work, reach out to everybody to see if we could get at least 5 units of blood. So they started getting me ready, giving me more information and stuff when the results came out from the blood test. And that's when they realized that we have a serious problem, that I need 20 units of blood. And I'm like, where am I going to get this 20 units of blood? Actually, it was the platelets that I needed to get, because I was very, very low, in a critical state, needing this blood. And knowing the severity of getting blood from people would actually ask you to pay them to get blood. Some people are not willing to transport and go and donate blood. So I reach out to the closest people that I know had the biggest connections, that they could reach out to a bigger, wider population of people, right? So the Belize Hotel Association, they found out because of Blue Zen, where I work, and the owners of Blue Zen, they sprung into action. They had all the staff from the resort go to Belize City to donate blood, because we don't really have a blood bank in Keycacher to say per se donate blood. So me lying on a bed with other people next to me, hearing their stories that some of them like were there for 5, 6 days, can't get this AB blood or different types of blood that they had. I was fortunate enough to had O positive blood, but I was very concerned having people next to me. I had a lady that actually passed away next to me, and she was almost the same age of me, so that was nerve wracking. And at a certain point, I had to speak to one of the doctors. I still remember her name. I believe her name is Miss Hutchinson. She's like, Charlene, I had this when I was your age. Just you have to bear the pain and all of that. So I kind of went through all of this pain and stuff like that. But with the troubles of worrying getting this blood, if my dad would be able, and my colleagues at work and everybody, if we could get 20 pints of blood, because it was very difficult. So we pulled together, everyone came in, the support of my community here in Peacocker and at work. Everyone came together, and I got the 20 units of blood. And actually, it took us like an entire day because everyone had to come from Peacocker to get this blood. And at the blood bank, we didn't have blood for me. I would have to get my own blood and donate it, and whatever was left, I could probably share it or leave it there for someone else. But they said that I would have to have it donated in my name. So every donation, they had to get the slip and take it to the hospital where I was admitted. And when I finally got the 20 units of blood, that's when the process started to actually start treat me. So all this while I was in intense pain, high fever, like 107 fever, intense headache. I couldn't really see, but I could really hear everything going on around me, and my dad and my work colleagues, the owners of Blue Zen, there were like my main supporters there to like kind of push me through this, because it was very, very, first time I experienced dengue, and it was very like nerve wracking, because you depreciate like in a day it took me to just depreciate. Like I was down to like 10,000 units of blood. 10,000, yes, of blood. In like Saturday I got sick. By Sunday I was very critical. So for me, working at Blue Zen now and having the colleagues and the experience that I have, I was telling the owners of Blue Zen and the people that are surrounded here for us to at least get like an organization, our resort, along with probably the blood bank in San Pedro or the blood bank in Belize, to come here every like 2 to 3 months and start collecting blood from employees or owners that live here on property and they want to donate blood. Because for me, I was very fortunate, but other people that were in the same situation as myself, some people weren't fortunate. Some people had to be paid $50 for someone to just go to the hospital to pay to donate blood. And some people can't afford that. And after I got the blood, I was like, you can't really say that you're not going to worry in the hospital when you're sick and you need this blood. So that added extra stress on my sickness and the way I felt. Like I was just like, I hope my dad could pull this off. I hope my work colleagues could pull this off. And actually everyone came together as a community and they helped me out. The hemorrhagic dengue fever, I wish it on no one. It was very, very intense. And actually, you don't really know that you're bleeding until you actually go to the hospital, because you bleed under your skin.
It's an internal
yes,
process.
internally you see like some cherry spots on your skin, and I didn't know about the symptoms. I didn't know that I had this. I didn't know where I get it from actually, because they had a lot of people in the village that had dengue. However, mine was just the worst that I had, and I had to be airlifted from Keycaulker to Belize City, and when I arrived in Belize City, the nurses at KMH, the whole staff at KMH that attended to me was very nice, and this learning from that experience, this makes me encourage people and want to do more and get involved in this blood bank. And our workforce here at Blue Zen, they're trying to put together to donate blood, but we get to understand that even if you donate blood, it's not designated to only Keycaulker people or only some Pedro, you know. So I would encourage everyone to just get with an organization or a group and donate blood, because the day that I needed this amount of blood, they had several people in the same ward that needed amount of blood. Yes. I actually got 22 units of blood, and I had to share the other 2 units with people that was a lady that was my blood type. So I strongly encourage people to go in, donate blood. It's good for your body, it stimulates your body and all of that. So the experience that I had was very, very nerve-wracking, because I'm only 33, and imagine me passing away with dengue. I've never heard of anyone die of dengue, but trust me, you could.
Yeah, Charlene, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. I can see and I can tell that it's something that has stuck with you, and I can imagine that there are so many other people that have not been able to have a similar story as you mentioned. I want to take the conversation back to Dr. Jorge, because Charlene mentioned something really important. First, she mentioned that there are persons that have to wait because of their blood type, because of, obviously, I'd imagine the blood bank not having their type that they need, or not having enough donors that are donating in that blood type. What would you say is the blood type that you find least being donated?
This is O negative, right? O negative is the one that usually would be
donated the least?
Yeah, in shortage. And this is exactly the reason why we want more people to actively give the blood, because then you have the probability of increasing the storage quantity of all types, including those that are scarce. Whenever you would see persons, asking for assistance through Facebook or television, it's generally speaking, it has to do with the type that is scarce. Now, just let me also make an important comment in regards to what the young lady just now said. She gave 22 bags of blood. I want to believe that she would have gotten some units even before she would have completed those 22.
Okay.
So she would have been using blood bags that were donated by other persons who perhaps were waiting for a surgery.
Okay.
Let us say you are scheduled to have a C-section, for example, or a hernia repair. They would ask you to give 2 units of blood. So you would give it, and it would be there. When the moment comes for your surgery, you know that somebody would have already donated blood, but that blood would perhaps be used even before you get surgery for somebody else who needs blood on an emergency basis. So they would get it, but then they would be encouraged, strongly encouraged, to replace the blood so that we could keep that stock.
Yeah.
That's a reality, and this is why. Now, if we would manage to have more volunteers, and especially of those types that are scarce, we would have that possibility of really not going into shortage of those scarce types. That would not mean to say we would never be short of those. However, if within the network of blood donors, people know who are negative, who are positive, who are negative, and they speak among themselves. So it's my turn to give a blood.
Let's get Adrian in on the conversation at this point in terms of the process that one has to undergo to give blood at the blood bank. Walk us through that for persons who may not know what needs to be done.
Okay, good morning. The blood bank is a network of 7 different blood banks. We have our main National Transfusion Center here at Belize. So donors that qualify, they can donate, they can choose to donate at the other different networks. However, in Belize, we have a collection time that is from 8 to 5. That is during working hours. We do provide services, for example, blood drives. We mobilize the collection of blood remotely. Wherever we are called, then we can go. Then we coordinate. Tomorrow we're having a blood drive at Belize Police Academy at Belmopan. And the third, we're having a blood drive at San Pedro. That is with the San Pedro Town Council, along with the Cancer Society. And then following up, then we'll be doing one with the Belize Red Cross. So the donor will walk in. You need to be from 18 to 65. You need to have a valid identification. Then you will be given a self-administered questionnaire. That the questionnaire is divided into 3 different sections. That is your travel, your medical history, and your lifestyle. After you answer the questionnaire, then the nurse will be the one who will decide to accept or to defer you. Deferring you is not like completely rejecting you. It is like temporarily deferred or permanently deferred based on your response. Then the nurse will give you an educational session. Then after that, then you are required to come back within your due date of donation. Basically, the donation will be like probably 15 minutes, depending on your vein or your blood flow. At our blood bank, we do have experienced nurses. Our nurses have more than 15 years of experience. So the fare for the needle will be the least at blood bank.
The least problem.
Yeah.
What would be the reasons for temporary deferral versus permanent?
Okay, temporarily will be probably if you have a flu.
Okay.
Or if you have allergies, or permanently will be if you are suffering from a sexual transmitted disease or any medical condition that need constant treatment.
For women, you know, they oftentimes ask you things like, when was the last monthly cycle that you have? Is that something that is also considered when a female goes to donate blood?
Well, to a certain extent, because we do our blood count. For females, it's from 12.5 to 16.5. And for males, it's from 13.5 to 17.5. So it depends on your discretion and your willingness to donate blood, then you can proceed. So we need to inform you before we just draw your blood, and then you have an adverse reaction after donation. So it's up to the donor.
Dr. Polanco, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on people selling their blood?
It does exist. I don't agree with that, because that clearly says that the interest is money. So you could be hiding. He made reference to sexually transmitted diseases. You could be hiding, maybe you have syphilis, maybe you're HIV, or you have some other disease. So that possibility exists because you are going for money. So that is why we don't encourage selling your blood.
National Blood Donor Month. What other awareness activities are being held in terms of perhaps an education campaign? You've mentioned the day itself, right? In June, you said?
June 14th.
June, yeah. Now we're looking at a month where we're trying to raise awareness for people to understand that donating blood is critical to saving lives, right? What other activities are being done for people to understand, okay, why this is necessary?
Do you have anything apart from the drives?
Well, we have blood drives. That is what we partner with communities. That is for private, NGOs, and government office. We do partner with the Mennonite community. That is blood collection. We do presentations at high schools. We do walking in educational and programs and sessions with different high schools of the blood bank, and we do presentations at primary schools. Wherever we're called, that's where we go, and then we usually join with the other sectors whenever they're having like a promotion, like for pharmacy or diabetes and walking or cancer day. That's where we partner with them, and then we have health fairs where we join, and then we just educate the general public.
One of the things we discussed about 2 weeks ago is that for this year we will approach each of those voluntary blood donors, and we said that from here to December, an objective would be for each donor to recruit at least 2 donors throughout the year, but to ensure that those 2 really form part of the list. That in itself would be a first step in regards to increasing that proportion of voluntary blood donors, because all right, and that in itself goes with what Mr. Martinez was saying. We will be aggressive on a monthly basis to visit the different organizations that have a big staff with this exclusive objective of promoting among the management, sensitizing the management and among the workers to come up with those persons, to identify persons who would be willing, and then we would just give them that support and encourage them. Once we get their names and contact info, we would encourage them to really become blood donors and give them more information. We have to be more aggressive, or else we would not increase that proportion.
Well, gentlemen, and Charlene, thank you so much for joining us this morning and talking about National Blood Donor Month and also Blood Donor Day that will be coming up in June as well. I'm hoping that persons will use this opportunity to donate blood, not for themselves only, but for other people that may be in need. Thank you.
That is correct.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, it's all about study abroad and scholarship opportunities with Campbellsville University.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security Board. It all starts with registering as an insured person, employer, or self-employed individual. Sign up for a portal account to manage your Social Security information online. Just provide accurate information and click Create. This will give you access to a range of services and benefits. Next, your contribution, along with investments and other income, are collected and distributed into 3 funds. This ensures that the SSB fund is securely utilized to support various benefit programs. The SSB is committed to providing essential benefits such as sickness, maternity, injury, and pension. These benefits are paid out to eligible individuals as a part of the Social Security coverage. We help you navigate through life's challenges with financial security. Annual surplus accumulates to grow the fund each year. This surplus is invested into various industries, contributing to the growth and development of our nation. With each passing year, the fund continues to grow due to the annual surplus and interest revenue earned from prudent investments. This surplus, along with reserves, helps to bolster the SSB fund and provide a safety net for those in need. We've arrived at the end of our journey to better understanding how the SSB works. We remain committed to serving you and building a secure future for all Belizeans.
If we all don't come together and work together to change the bigger climate picture, these efforts will be in vain.
It's right there.
I believe that we have something special that is also a secret right now, which is unexplored, undiscovered.
I've been with the sugar fishermen all morning, catching lobster and conch. And then we realize it's time for lunch. And man, it's gonna be good. I think they deserve it.
Welcome back. We are having our second conversation for the morning, and it's all about Campbellsville University and opportunities for Belizeans to study abroad and also get scholarships. We have with us two representatives to talk to us about it. We have here with us Stephen Chafin, and he is the Director of International Enrollment. Good morning.
Good morning.
We also have with us Tanisha Vernon, and she is the Regional Recruiter here in Belize. Good morning, guys.
Good
and thank you for
morning.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yes. Well, let's talk about Campbellsville University. It's a university that is based in Kentucky. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in Campbellsville, Kentucky. If you're familiar with a map of the U.S., we're about an hour south of Louisville and an hour and a half north of Nashville. People seem to be more familiar with Nashville. So we're in a rural community. Our town has about 25,000 people in it. So the campus plays a pretty significant part of our town's life. The campus has about 1,400 students on it. And of that, about 65% of those students are international students. So, you know, we feel like at this point, we can do a pretty good job of making someone not from the U.S. feel right at home and help them integrate into the campus life.
Yeah.
Why Campbellsville University? When you look at perhaps the thousands of tertiary institutions across the United States?
Yeah, good question. So Campbellsville is, for a Belizean student, I would say one of the first reasons I would mention is our price point. For students from Belize, we've had a great history. They're our highest retaining population of students, meaning they have the highest graduation rate. So when students from Belize come to Campbellsville, they're the most likely student on campus to graduate. So because of that, we've started offering a special discounted rate for students from Belize. And so we've started packaging tuition, fees, and room and board, all for $16,900 US, which is pretty competitive for a 4-year US institution. You know, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone doing a better deal than that. And for schools with similar price points, I'd like to think that we have the most to offer in that range.
And those offerings would be in programs?
Yeah, programs and the facilities on campus. So in total, we have about 90 different academic programs. So those are ranging from things like welding certificates, English as a second language certificates, all the way through bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and even PhDs now.
Yeah. For Belizean students who are accessing studies at Campbellsville.
Yeah.
Is there a trend perhaps in terms of what areas they're going for?
Across the board, we're seeing most of our international students coming for business. That seems to be the major focus for international students coming to Campbellsville. Our business program is popular with our domestic students too. We have about 7 different emphases within it, so students can do a degree in business administration, but then kind of take a core concentration of classes in accounting, marketing, economics, and a few others as well.
Tanisha, let's get you in the conversation as a regional recruiter. What are you seeing in terms of the interests that Belizeans have for this university?
You know, as a Belizean, I always wanted to study abroad myself. You know, I think that's one of most of our local dreams, you know, to just get that international exposure, and not just any international exposure as well, or opportunities. What I found recruiting Belizean students is that most of them never see themselves having that possibility, you know, and for me, it's such a blessing to see how much they light up and the interest. And, you know, in this world of technology now, like nothing is unknown, you know, they have all of these resources available to them. In addition to what Stephen said, you know, a lot are interested in business, but I'm also seeing them navigating to computer sciences, in artificial intelligence, you know, more technical. I have a few guys that are interested in engineering, you know, so they're stepping out of as well of the normal program that we have offer here in Belize. What I like to say is that at Campbellsville, we're not here to take away anything from any other institution. We're just here to pretty much expand the options and let these students start to really think about their future and their education and their investment. Studying here or abroad, it's not cheap. So you want to make sure that when you're investing in yourself and your future, you want to make sure that it is exactly the program that you want to do, or at least in the direction that you would like to pursue. So, you know, to have them really sit down and think and, you know, share with you their thoughts and their experience. And, you know, some may feel a bit discouraged because they're like, oh, wow, even with our academic scholarship program, the price still might not meet, you know, their parents' pocket. But I still encourage them, and I said, you know what, I'm a believer in manifesting in what you want, and just taking that first step to apply, you're already changing your life. You don't know who might hear or see or say, okay, wow, you've been accepted to Campbellsville, let me see how I could help support and finance your education. You know, so, and because of that, we see a lot of applicants coming in, students, like I said, Ms. Sani, that they have never thought that anyone would be interested in them or see the potential in them. So as much as I've been recruiting for Campbellsville, I've also built some meaningful relationship and just be a mentor to them, because we have a local WhatsApp that I communicate. So they feel like, okay, they're not speaking to an automated message, and that, you know, there is someone here from Belize that is pushing and supporting and believe in their, you know, future. So with that said, you know, I would like to talk a little bit about our history. Campbellsville is maybe new to many, but our relationship with Belize has stemmed back from about 10 to 15 years ago with Dr. Hedgepat and Dr. Donna Hunley. They have great relationship with the University of Belize and Sacred Heart, particularly in the early childhood program. They're still here, they're still working with teachers, especially in Sacred Heart at the moment. We had a recent graduate from Sacred Heart. She was 8 months pregnant and could not attend graduation. So our provost, vice president, and a couple other faculty members came and set up a ceremony to graduate, let her get her honors. Here, her degree here in Belize. So that's the extent that we go, you know. There's a special love and relationship here with Belize. We also have partnered with Hands in Hands Ministry. which is also a nonprofit organization, and we brought 10 students last year in May to build a home for a family in Belize. So we're not only about promoting academic, we're about outreach programs, service learning to have both local and international students, understand and build a relationship.
Yeah, with each other.
So that's a crucial part of our relationship here in Belize.
I'm impressed by the fact that not only has Campbellsville University established certain relationships with other institutions here,
yes,
but the idea of being able to serve community through outreach.
Yes.
So partnering with hand in hands, because their mission is to build as many homes as they can for persons in need of that kind of assistance. And
definitely.
to forge that kind of partnership, I'm certain that a lot of people would look to Campbellsville and say that that's a great initiative.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the scholarship opportunities for Belizeans.
Sure.
Yeah, so the main one would be the one I mentioned at the start. We offer it's a $19,100 discount off our standard cost, and that's how you get to that $16,900 for the tuition fees, room and board. But we do have a few other opportunities as well. We offer a presidential scholarship, and that one is a competitive scholarship, so students will apply, their applications reviewed, and then I believe we have 6 spots for a full tuition, full room and board, everything paid for scholarship. And in addition to that, we have some internship opportunities. So students can come and work in our enrollment office, and then some programs will also have some internship opportunities that would allow students to earn a little bit of extra money as well.
That's great.
To add on that, Kiana Molina from Belmopan was the recipient of one of the presidential scholarship. So she is now in her 2nd semester. We have about 3 freshmen that started last year summer, straight from high school. And that's another thing that we try to promote is the 4-year degree. So that when you're graduating from Campbellsville, you have a bachelor's. You're within that competitive market with other, schools and students. And for us, just to see how much growth she's doing well. We have Jalen Crawford from Belize City and Ariana Rivas. They are excelling. They're working, all 3 of them. At Campbellsville, we have a Chick-fil-A on campus. There's a lot to do. Students can enjoy the campus life. The entire campus is pretty much within 10 to 15 minutes of walking. Everything is pretty close, so your child won't have to worry about catching the bus. All international students have to stay on campus, right? So that's one of the requirements. Hence why the price that Stephen had quoted, it includes boarding, meals, and tuition for.
Wow.
So when you pay that price, you don't have to worry about, anything about your child, especially when they're starting at that early age. You worry about time management, you worry about financial, management. So things like that. And I truly feel like what set Campbellsville apart and fit Belizean student is just the hospitality. Where everyone has been supportive. 2 of the girls that are minors there, they have guardians selected for them to make sure that, when they're applying for a job and they need to get their bank information, they assist with them getting their bank account open. If they need medical care, a guardian from the school will assist them at doctor visits. So it's a wholesome environment, and with technology, you could call your parents, so it's a home away from home.
And with having so many Belizeans there on campus, I'd imagine it would be a bit hard to get homesick because you have, Belizeans around you. Well, for persons that are listening and they're interested in applying to Campbellsville University or simply taking advantage of some of the scholarships that are available, how can they reach out to you guys?
Yeah, so Tanisha operates a WhatsApp number here. So she's our local representative and can answer questions. But also they can just fill out an application online. It's completely free. And once we have your information from the application, we'll be in contact with whoever applies within a week.
Okay.
And then we'll have each other's numbers, email address, and we'll be quite responsive to answer any questions that the student would have.
And that WhatsApp number is 605-7663. I'm the person that responds to that. And I just want you to know that once the moment that you apply with us, we help you all the way through until you're there on campus. So we help with the student visa process, you know, guide your parents, provide them with all the information that they need to set up an appointment at the U.S. Embassy. And again, we stress that even if you don't have a passport, you know, these are the things that I'm here for, to guide you to make the transition and the process as easy as possible. You know, we go so far as picking up our students with their parents from the airport to bring them to the campus to make sure, yes, that, you know, their child is settled in, and if they want to make sure that the environment is safe. And so we do a lot. We also have one-on-one Zoom meetings with parents, with students that are really interested and parents that want to know more. And so it's a different way of recruiting, you know, and we gotta catch up to the times now, you know, and so the feedback that we have been getting is really great. And this is about 6 or 7 months truly recruiting here in Belize. So I can only imagine what it will look like in the next 2 to 3 years from now.
What's the application deadline for the next semester?
Yeah, we have a pretty laid-back deadline. June 1st is the deadline to apply. We'd encourage students to apply before then, just so they have all the boxes ticked and don't have to stress. But June 1st is the deadline.
Alrighty. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm hoping that persons were able to listen keenly and write down that WhatsApp number. Could you repeat it once more?
It's 605-7663.
Alrighty. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, the conversation is all about basic first aid training. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. I'm Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." Some time ago, I attended the funeral of a man 50 years of age. He had deserted his wife and children, and on a cruise ship with another woman died of a massive heart attack. Even though he deserted them, God did not desert them. He is always there to pick us up and to encourage us on. Ben Hooper was twice the governor of the state of Tennessee. At birth, no one would ever have picked him to be a future governor. He was born an illegitimate son to a woman outside of wedlock. He related as a boy, he was often embarrassed to walk down a street because people would say, "Whose boy is that? Wonder who his father is." He did not even like to go to school and refused to go to church. But then a new preacher came to town who seemed to care about people. He would slip in after the services began and leave before they were over. However, one Sunday, he did not get out in time. The preacher came up from behind him and put his hand on his shoulder and asked him that dreaded question, "Whose boy are you?" Then the preacher said, "Oh, I know who you are. You're a child of God. So go and claim it." He did. He came to Christ and was saved, and now a son of the King. Let me ask you, whose boy or daughter are you? You are a child of God. Go and claim it today. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right. No speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a Lone Ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced full high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't let this plan. I can't let this plan.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
If we all don't come together and work together to change the bigger climate picture, these efforts will be in vain.
It's right there.
I believe that we have something special that is also a secret right now, which is unexplored, undiscovered.
I've been with the sugar fishermen all morning, catching lobster and conch, and then we realize it's time for lunch. And man, it's gonna be good. I think they deserve it.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And welcome back. Our final conversation this morning is a rather important one, as we will learn the basics of first aid from my good friend Javier Canol. Now, many of you may know Javier as Ozzy, the clown, but he's here in a different capacity this morning, and he's here to teach us some life-saving skills where first aid is concerned.
Yeah,
good morning,
thank you.
my
Good,
brother.
good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Belize. Good morning, everybody. Yes. It's a pleasure to be here. I haven't been here for quite a while. Thank you for inviting me. This is what I do, basically. And this is what makes my class interesting, because as Ozzy, I don't just go and teach da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I'm a classroom full of energy and classroom full of life. So you don't drop asleep, you don't become bored. My class is always entertaining as well as learning opportunities. So I'm here in the capacity of owner, lead instructor of ABC Life Support to give you any techniques you'd like to ask or learn. I don't want to take the lead, I want you guys to.
Okay, so here we go, right? There are several scenarios that play out more often than not when we're with our loved ones, right? Or we're with our friends and so on. And perhaps one of those scenarios has to do with someone who's choking.
Okay.
Perhaps you have a child who was consuming something and it gets lodged in the throat somewhere.
Okay.
Perhaps similarly, you'd probably have someone who is drowning and you have to administer CPR or other techniques or what have you. Let's start there with the choking first. The baby is choking.
Okay. Good point and all that, but let me take you back just a little bit.
Sure.
What are 3 things that will let you die, roughly? Basically, you have to be breathing. If you're not a breathe, you will die. If you're bleeding, you can die. And if your heart not at work, you can die. So those are the 3 most important things. Any given scenario, whether you're the drown, whether you're the choke, whether you're a traffic accident, those are the 3 most important things you need to look for. When you get there, after making sure that the scene is safe, because your safety is a paramount.
First. Yeah.
You don't want to become a casualty yourself, right?
Yes.
So after you get there and make sure the scene is safe, whatever incident it may be, the first thing you want to do is make sure the person is breathing. If they're not breathing, in this case you said that child is choking, you need to, whatever is in there, you need to get it out. If not,
Clear
they
the
will.
passage, yes.
They can't breathe, and if you can't breathe, you will surely die, even if your heart to work. The good thing is with a child, good thing and bad thing, with a child, if they stop breathe, they will die fast. All right? The good thing about it is that their heart works very good, so they can, you can bring them back. You have a nice, decent amount of time to bring them back quickly. When you watch the movies, we stop breathe, and in a quick time, so I do CPR, and we have we cough. That is not true. That's the movies. What child now, or a baby, once they're down and out and they're choking, and you could be there like for 5 minutes or so, but you bet that once that stuff comes out, that child will start to breathe again, because remember, the heart is still functioning.
Yeah.
All right? Me and you are called ourselves all pemperem. For we heart start to develop one illness called arteriosclerosis, and as a result, we heart, we will die quickly. But with a child, no, that's a different thing. Let's get back to the choking part. For a child, or what, it depends on what you call a child too, because there's a different, there are age limits and age range. So for CPR purposes and for choking purposes, you have one infant, whether from 0 to 1 year of age. All right? Doctors will tell you other things, because there's a set that is called neonatal. Well, let's go from 0 to 1. That's an infant. 1 to puberty is a child. And then from puberty up is an adult. So once you're in puberty, we treat you as though you're an adult. Puberty will be demonstrated by, in females, breast development, males, hair under the arms, or on the face. So you will know that you don't have to take off nobody's clothes to see if they're not adult or not. You will notice these things. So if that one baby, you want to turn it over in your hand, and you start off with 5 back blows, and then you get 2 chest thrusts. Sorry, 5 back blows and 5 chest thrusts. All right, so you hold them back and you hit them between the shoulder blade area. Not in the back, the shoulder blade area. If you hit them in the lower back, you could damage them. All right, it's a pity I never bring one. I never know.
Oftentimes that's what we do. We hit in the back, though, I feel like.
And part of the problem is that when we hit someone at the back, and if especially if the child is sitting down, the stuff is going down this way. And that's why you have to hold them with their head down, so gravity can take effect as you hit them in their back. Whatever you hit them, you're hitting them like in a slantwards movement. It forces the air up and bring whatever is out there. If when you do that, there's no recovery, you then need to go into, you will do that until the child stop kicking or he stop move. If that happens, then you need to start CPR. Okay? And if you do CPR, as soon as you put them down, as soon as you turn it over to start CPR, you need to look in the mouth first. The reason for that is when we're conscious, our airway tend to grab whatever is there to stop it from going down. But when we become unconscious, that releases itself. So that's the reason you have to look inside first. And normally you will see it. When you see it, you take it out, and then you continue with CPR. And the chances that the person recovering, especially for the child or the infant, they will recover quickly because they have a good heart. For me and you, that's a different story. Or shock you and a whole lot of stuff.
And all of this is happening in just a matter of seconds, really.
Yes. And so how do we get prepared for this? And it was a great question that I was asked earlier. in the sense that when things happen, how you maneuver. It takes time. First of all, you have to get the training. Visit your local training center. Of course, ABC Life Support is the best, so visit us. And we will take you through that and prepare you to get it done the right way. Once you're prepared, we create scenarios so you will do this over and over. And if you have a problem or you have a question, give me a call. I like to encourage my students, like when we finish from here today, if you learn something, go tell somebody. Because when you tell them, you're teaching yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right?
So you're also spreading the knowledge.
What are the basic scenarios that you would have your students attempt to resolve?
Okay, like I mentioned to you earlier, there's three things that can
Bleeding,
make you
choking,
die.
and heart.
So bleeding, choking, and heart. So if you get to any scene and the person is not breathing, you need to make sure they're breathing. This here is a head. And if you notice, you have a transparent area, but here it's blocked. Right here it's blocked, so the airway is not functioning here. So when you open that airway, you do this, and automatically air can flow. So that's the first thing you need to do.
Tilting the head backward, basically.
Putting the head backward. So we call that the head tilt chin lift.
Okay.
Two ways to open an airway, the head tilt chin lift and the jaw thrust maneuver.
Okay.
So the head tilt chin lift is when you do this, just push the head back and the airway becomes open. You will do this on somebody that you do not think suffered a spinal injury. So if you get to somebody's house and you find mommy in the bed, and more likely I don't think you suffer a spinal injury. And you can ask question, oh, my is a diabetic, okay, you just open a airway like this. If I tell you, oh, he slipped down, he dropped, and I pick up and put him on the bed, then that's a different story. All right? So that's how you do that. Then you have the jaw thrust maneuver now, which is a little different. How do we do that? Basically, what you want to do is take this part of your, put it on the cheekbone, and you want to, if you look right here, you see this just stretch out without moving the entire head. All right? The objective is we don't want the head to move. If the head moves, the spine move. And if the spine moves, you could create more problems. So putting down force here, fingers under the jawbone right here. You push down a little bit to make sure the head doesn't move. And if you look right here, you'll see this stretch out open. Look.
Yes.
So once it stretches open, the number one thing that blocks your airway is your tongue. So when you go sleep that night, and I wake up, I tell you, gal, you made snore all night. Guess what? That's your tongue. So normally, if you live with a partner, your partner tell you, hey, turn by your side, man. That's because you snore hard. When you turn by your side, now your tongue not drop back way, but you drop on the side. So you breathe good. Okay? So the jaw thrust maneuver is used to, when you push down and do this, it's because you're allowing the tongue to move from back of the airway and allowing the patient to have a better chance to breathe. Okay, so that's a two-way open airway. Now let's get to bleeding. If you get down a location and you hear the person go, that means you have a problem with the airway. So you need to open it based on what you see and what we talked about earlier. If you get there and then you breathe normally, but you see blood to come out, you need to stop that, because if you don't stop that, he will die or she will die. How do we do that? We just apply direct pressure. Make sure you put on gloves, put your hand in a plastic bag, even a condom. You can put your hand in a condom. Just protect yourself, because safety is a paramount. We don't want to get sick by diseases. Blood, we just talk about blood just now. And blood carries diseases. So you want to put on something to protect yourselves, and you want to apply direct pressure to the area that is affected. So if I get cut right here, the right here you want to put direct pressure. Please, for goodness sake, when you talk about direct pressure, some people put pressure up here, down here, but not on the spot. When you say direct pressure, it means on the area, so you put it directly there.
What about perhaps a tourniquet?
Okay,
like perhaps
that's a very good question.
Tear off a piece of shirt and then you...
Tourniquets are used as a last resort. Fortunately for Belize, we have anywhere you go, if you go fire to Orange Rock now, fire to, if you there Orange Rock from Orange Rock to here, or go down river, or roughly. So tourniquets are used basically in the last resort if somebody is having what you call an arterial bleeding. Now there's a difference with the types of bleeding. So it's important for everybody to take a first aid training, right? Bleeding, you have arterial bleeding, that spurts. Every time a heart beat, you see, if you watch the movie Apocalypto, when the gentleman hit her with an axe, you see blood, that's our arterial bleeding, right? If you get a bus head, All right, and sometimes you see people with a leak cut on the forehead and you see it here. I call it piggy bank because then a leak cut you can always drop shilling right for it. But basically, that bleeding will run down. It's not spurting. And you'd be surprised to know most bleeding in the face, most cut or wound in the face bleed a lot. You think heaven come down. But when you clean it up down a leak cut because your face full of the brain there and everything else, so the heart pushes it there. So that's venous bleeding, it's running down. If you get about said that, that's venous bleeding. And then the last one is what we call capillary bleeding. And capillary bleeding, if you get a scrape. All right. Now, capillary bleeding is bad. Like if you skate off a motorcycle
and you
peel up the whole part of your body, that is deadly at that point. But if you walk through the door and get a little scrape, that's not too bad. All right. Now, arterial bleeding is deadly. So for arterial bleeding, you have to use a tourniquet because you want to stop it. Stop the bleeding and do it as quick as possible. Now, what is a tourniquet? A tourniquet is anything you can use, a shirt, a belt, and if you get cut here and you see blood, the spurt, you want to put it above the cut, between the injury and the patient's body. And you put it right here, and you want to put it as tight as possible.
To stem the bleeding.
All right, or to stop the bleeding. And then because anywhere from any point A to point B, the hospital is pretty close, you'll be okay. Now, if you're there back I can't say Mountain Pine Ridge, because we got good roads going there.
Let's try Timbuktu.
Timbuktu, all right. All right, where you have a whole area where you can't come out of it. You are there for 24 hours.
You're isolated.
You're isolated, and you put on a tourniquet, then you damage whichever area block off,
your nerves,
damage. Because it blocks the blood, become poison, everything, okay? But anywhere you put on a tourniquet in Belize, it's easier because our hospital, they're pretty close, so it's okay to use a tourniquet. However, you will only use it for severe arterial bleeding, maybe some poisonous snake bites, and that's basically it.
And you do that essentially if you're able to get to a hospital or
within
medical
6 hours,
facility
within
in
6
a closer
hours,
time
yeah.
range. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, anywhere you go, a hospital is pretty close, and you can put on a tourniquet on people. But if you don't know better, you see one. Well, of course, if you get about said you can put on a tourniquet around your neck, right? But you can apply direct pressure. If you're not sure whether that want arterial bleeding, that's why, like I explained to you, if you follow those guidelines, you'll be fine. So you will know, once it's spurting and you can't control that bleeding, put on a tourniquet and you move with them to the hospital setting. Basically, you want to start with direct pressure. Put one piece of cloth first. If bleeding continues, you put another. And if it continues, you put another. So the rule of thumb is 3 bulky dressing. However, if you put the first dressing, do not remove it and put another one. Because if you remove the first one, you'll start bleeding all over again. Just keep putting it on top of each other.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
so we covered choking, we covered bleeding, now heart.
Okay, heart. So basically, what's the norm right now? American Heart Association come up with what we call hands-only CPR since about 2005 or somewhere around there. And what is hands-only CPR? It is a lesson that we teach that anybody can do. We do not need to put our mouth on the patient's mouth. That's why it's called hands-only CPR. So what do we do? As soon as the person is on the ground, we just start to do chest compressions. Make sure you're directly over the patient. Square, your shoulder must be squared over the patient, and you want to push directly down. At that point, you want to go at 100 to 120 compressions per minute.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you about hands-only CPR. The thing is that when you push down on the heart, you're pushing blood to the brain and the main organs of the body. That's the objective. Okay? If you not do CPR for the person who are dead, because blood not circulate, no oxygen to go. But once oxygen is moving, then the patient have a chance to live. And the thing about hands-only CPR is that you're going to start the process. But guess what? You're going to call for the ambulance. So the ambulance should take about 10 minutes to reach here, roughly. It shouldn't take longer, all right? Unless there's restrictions, whatever it may be. The hope is for American Heart, the hope is that it will only take 10 minutes. You know, over the US, we got ambulance all over the place. In Belize, we only have one here, and we have problems with it. So maybe we don't get in that technicality.
Which is the X factor. That's the area of greatest concern.
That's right. And that's the reason why you have to take other lessons, but the start hands-only CPR is the way to go, because if you not start it, the patient will die. The thing with hands-only CPR is that it cannot be done on children. Why? I told you that
They might
earlier.
fracture their rib cage or
No.
stuff.
The reason for that is, remember, one child have a healthier heart than me and you.
Ah, okay.
So the child needs to breathe.
Yeah.
But for us, we need to get the heart going. We know the word about breathing. We need to keep the heart going until we can get breaths going on, shock the patient and all. But with a child, it's a different story. Because they always have a healthy heart.
Okay, pause. So, if an adult is choking and you're assuming that, you know, they might die, isn't the priority taking out the object?
If an adult is choking, that's a priority. And to do that,
you administer a Heimlich, right?
You want to do what we call the Heimlich maneuver.
Okay.
Okay. Well, they change it now. It's actually, they don't call it Heimlich maneuver anymore because Mr. Heimlich, a whole lot of legal issues come up with, oh, you use my name for this and that. So they don't, I can't remember what that name they use now, but I still refer to it as Heimlich occasionally.
Most of us
and I need
refer
to get
to it
it
as
right.
That's what we know it as.
Yes. So, and to do that, basically, again, you find the navel with two fingers. You make a fist like this, bring it just above the navel, remove the other hand around, and that then you want to go in and up, in and up. Okay? So, chest thrust is the new word that they use.
There we go, sir.
Abdomen thrust, abdominal thrust, because it's the abdomen, not the throat, not the stuff. But the problem with the chest abdominal thrust is that people do this. So you come this way, and when you reach here, you do this. And then it's way above.
Yeah.
Instead of going here, because the lower you put it, the better, because there's a dead space. That air remains in. So the lower you push it and the more you push down, the air will be forcing the object out. Once the object comes out, remember that patient, if the patient, and he's conscious, you bring it out, he will start to breathe. But if that patient becomes unconscious, then you got a lot of work by your hand.
Then it's the chest compressions.
You need to go to CPR and make sure you call for the ambulance, because there's a lot of work that needs to get the patient going. He will not recover like in the movies. He needs to be shocked, he needs drugs, he needs a whole lot of things, and might even end up in the hospital.
You've been providing this service for decades, Javier. Let's talk about your experience over time and the love you have for this service.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. I've been, this year makes 25 years. I've been doing this. In fact, I've been doing it longer because in the military, that's where I really started.
Yeah.
I've seen a whole lot of stuff and I've experienced a lot of stuff. There is nothing that I talk to you about that I haven't really done. I know what works, I know what doesn't work. So I don't really talk from a textbook perspective. I talk about real life experience that I have been there, done it. And because of that, I love, the love that I gain from it is that I look at people and say, man, look at Isani. Imagine he wouldn't have been here. But because of the techniques that you've been taught, and I've took them serious and I applied them, that's what have Isani here today.
Yeah.
And looking at people, my dream has always been for Belize City, is to get at least 50% of the population trained. But it's hard because in Belize, for some reason, our culture does not believe in putting money where we need it to be.
That's hard. Plus, we have somewhat of a flippant attitude towards being able to learn these basic things. And what makes it even worse is that we don't make an effort to learn it. But when the ambulance first responders take long, then we're first to complain, oh, they take 25 minutes, so on and so forth. But if you were armed with the basic knowledge,
that's right,
then you could buy time by applying some of these techniques.
That's right. So to add to what you said is that, and that is why it's important, and I'm proud of the police department. The police department, since I know myself, I have approached them and I've been training with them, where we teach the police what to do until the ambulance get there. There are some people who are very skeptical about it still because lawsuit, etc., but there's no lawsuit if you're trying to help somebody, which falls under basically the Good Samaritan law. But the problem with it is that there's no significant pattern. So somebody teach you this, then somebody else going to teach you that. There's no standardization. And that's what I wish we would get into as well. Like standardization should be across the board. There's one way to open an airway. All right. The objective is to get the person to survive. So let's get it done. Shouldn't be that difficult.
Javier, do you think that generally people might also take for granted that they may not need to use these skills as well?
That's part of it. I still work on the ambulance when I'm called to do things. I do a lot of just so I can mention it so if I don't forget. I still do a lot of transportation. Like, for example, I'll be called by a doctor to say, listen, we got a patient who want you carried at Merida. And because of my qualifications, I would do that under their direction.
Yeah.
Or, listen, I have a patient that needs to come back home. And I would provide that service. ABC Life Support provide that service. And so when I am doing whatever I'm doing with their relatives, I try to explain to them, this is why you need to do this. I don't just do it and keep silent. I'm teaching while I'm doing it because it's important that they know. And they need to understand that you're doing the best you can for their people. And if I am not there, who's going to do it? But because I've taught you through, I've guided you through the process, you can do it until maybe you call me or till the ambulance reaches there. But if you don't do it, and that is what ABC Life Support is all about, we teach pre-hospital care so that you can do what you need to do till the ambulance get there. So you need to help yourself. Because if you don't do it, somebody
could be
will
the
die.
difference between someone
Somebody will die.
surviving and someone dying.
That's
For
right.
persons that are watching that they're interested in getting training from ABC Life Support, either individually or by group, what are the rates that you have?
Okay, basically I would charge anywhere within $45 to $65. And you can reach me at 628-7999. I just want to make mention that I've also started to offer this basic first aid and advanced first aid program at Wesley Junior College as an elective. So I did my first semester, it's completed, and now we're going to do some more stuff. It's one of my ways to get it in, and I applaud the dean and the staff at Wesley College, Junior College, for seeing this as an important way. And I will share this with you. Most of the people, I had like 21 students, most or all of the 21 students wants to challenge the EMT program because, and some of them are doing paralegal. And they come to me and say, you know what, I wanted to do paralegal load. You make I see one different aspect of this whole thing. I don't want to do paralegal no more. I want to go more into this area.
The paramedics.
Yes. And it's the same thing. I would teach them about paramedics, but when I talk to them about clowning, I don't want to do that. I want to be a clown now.
Wow, really?
Okay,
yes.
no, see, I'm glad you gone there because honestly, I'm just waiting for the serious part to kind of. So I was about to ask you, though, with all of this that's going on with you, how do you find time for cloning?
Okay, so it's both things are business. But let me say this before I answer that question. I have guidance by Dr. Hidalgo, who supervises most of the work that I do. And the public might not know that I have two sons who are medical doctors as well. They're unfortunate for me right now, they're out of the country studying, advancing their careers. So I have Dr. Hidalgo and my two sons, which I occasionally call or I'd visit them to get advice and ideas to keep ABC Life Support functioning the way it should. Okay. Now, most of the time, I spearhead ABC Life Support. When Ozzy comes aboard, is if you'd call me and say, hey, I'm having a party on the weekend. Are you available? Now, I have a diary specifically for Ozzy, and that diary keeps I have to keep that diary with me because sometimes I have clashes of date, and I apologize to people sometimes because like I'd come from here, somebody will be calling me, and then I just quickly say yes, and then when I go to the diary, it's a different story. So Ozzy is most of the time done on weekends. However, I would take a patient, like I recently brought a patient from Merida as Javier. When I went back to visit the patient,
You were Ozzy?
I were Ozzy. I addressed as Ozzy.
You told me that.
And I went in there and I cheered up the patient. I have like two patients I'm seeing right now as Ozzy and sharing my ideas with them as a patient as well as to how to help them move along. So Ozzy complements ABC Life Support and ABC Life Support.
So we could have a birthday party for a group of kids and invite us, and if one of them chokes, you jump into Javier right away.
You know, that's part of the reason why a lot of companies hire Ozzy, but they think I don't catch me.
Need to try.
So when they hire Ozzy, they know, we don't need a medic because Ozzy is a medic.
They pay for the two things for the one price.
But then I realized that, so now
I love that Isani brought that up because you were featured as a bright side last year, and you were speaking just about that, going in as Ozzy the Clown and getting an emergency call and having to rush to provide that service as Javier in your Aussie costume. Obviously, this is two passions that you obviously love. And I know that a lot of people, they watch you, Javier, and they either know you by your face as Ozzy the Clown, or they know you by the work that you've been doing as a paramedic for the past 2 decades. So it's not easy to count you out in the services that you provide.
Thank you. Yes. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, for persons one more time that would like to reach you to access your service with ABC Life Support, how can they get in touch with you?
Basically, you can reach Javier Canul at 628-7999 or visit my page on Facebook. It's called ABC Life Support. Or if you're having a hard time, then visit myself on Facebook, Javier Canul, and you can reach me and we can organize packages. We do, we cater general training for you, which by the way, I've been asking Channel 5 to do a training for you guys for many years now, and Channel 5 has not done it.
Yeah, what a way to put us on the spot.
And remember, there is an OSHA bill that is coming in.
Yes.
And so you guys need to do this. What if you have a guest choking here one of these days? You remember me and you'll call me? You'll call me? You need to know it too. It's important that you guys...
and you don't want that to happen live.
You don't want that to happen, but it would be great if you're doing it live.
Good TV, yeah? All right, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
V-Bucks and get a chance to win a $10,000 homecation with Benny's. Quality and savings.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, pay $28.13 more and get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
If we all don't come together and work together to change the bigger climate picture, these efforts will be in vain.
It's right there.
I believe that we have something special that is also a secret right now, which is unexplored, undiscovered.
I've been with the sugar fishermen all morning, catching lobster and conch. And then we realize it's time for lunch. And man, it's gonna be good. I think they deserve it.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us this morning. We had 3 great conversations, so we want to say thank you to all of our guests that joined us this morning, but also a special thank you to you, our viewers, for sticking with us. It is January the 17th. We are halfway through the first month, Isani.
Yes.
It's
time
going
flies fast.
so fast. But yes, if you are celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you'd like to give a birthday shout out, maybe a question, comment, or concern, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram at OYE Belize. Thanks so much for joining us, and please join us again tomorrow as you open your eyes
To start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open.
have a wonderful Wednesday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.